Digital PR is a solid link building strategy that allows you to get placements on major news websites. Now, a lot of these links will be no follow links, but of course, on a powerful news website, you still want that link. Now, the way you achieve these is basically pitching publications, and to do that, you need some sort of story, some sort of data, unique insight that's not just business does business. Journalists are not interested in a business doing business. So you've got to go away and come up with some sort of value driven content, some sort of revelation, whether it's some research, something like that, some data. And basically, you then want to write the story for them, come up with the hook. So you're not just tipping them off, you really want to do as much of the work as you can for them. Now, the real secret that I've uncovered with digital PR in recent months is actually it is so much easier to pitch local newspapers. That's because they're just desperate for content. A lot of big media organizations still have really quite strong editorial teams and editorial practices, whereas your local newspaper down the road, or even the local newspapers for major cities, can still be very old, powerful websites, lots of authority, and yet they can be desperate for content because a lot of them are still based on banner ad revenue, things like that. So I recently read the book Trust Me, I'm Lying by Ryan Holiday, where he talks about how you can basically trade your way up the food chain by a lot of these blogs are just desperate for traffic, and therefore, if you can provide a source of traffic, i.e., a trending topic, an article that's actually going to take off for a certain audience, then that's likely to be very valuable to them. And if you get featured in one blog publication, etc., you can then basically trade up and say this story has already been covered in this publication, so you're missing out. You should also cover it. So that way, you can build some legitimacy around your digital PR campaign. So you start small, but then trade your way up to actually bigger publications. So with local news, it's actually quite easy to pitch a story. And when I say pitch a story, you might as well just write it for them. And that way, it's very difficult for them to actually say no, as long as it's still a good story. So what makes a good story? Like I say, you need some unique insight, something that's actually interesting and new. And then you need a hook. So a hook is basically about how you apply that to today's times. Why should actually people care about this? So examples I've done recently are about AI taking over jobs, or increasing beer prices, inflation, property prices. Think about any standard tabloid magazine you read, tabloid newspaper, and you can go through and you can easily see the kinds of issues they're constantly attacking, whether it's property prices, inflation, social issues. So these are the kinds of things you can normally get in quite easily. Now, obviously, you don't want to be too salesy with it. So the best you can normally expect is just a homepage link with your branded anchor text, basically. And that's the limitation of PR versus, say, a link building agency like mine, where we go out and basically get you keyword optimized anchor text links. What does that mean? So the text of the link is actually your keyword, and that link will go to your main money pages, your commercial pages. So it's quite difficult to get those kinds of links with digital PR, but you can just overall build up your power, your overall authority through these news websites. So ultimately, you want to mix. You want digital PR on one side that's going to give you legitimacy, build your brand, and get you a lot of no-follow links, but you will still get a lot of power out of that. But then at the same time, you want to be building actual outreach links, such as we do, where you get do-follow links pointing straight at your money page, talking about your product. So go here to buy the best X. And that's how you can really rank those core pages that make a difference to you. But in reality, you don't really want to rely on a single strategy. You want to have them all. So that's why we're bringing more and more digital PR in-house to our link building agency, so that as part of a standard practice, standard subscription, not only do you get those links pointing at your money pages, but you also just get brand features. So PR mentions talking about your brand and how great you are. And we're also aiming to SEO optimize those placements as well, so that those news articles can basically rank on Google. So more people see your brand and get sold about why you're great, why they should buy from you. So they can then click that link, which is still a powerful link back to your site, but it's also a very human touch that they'll click that link and then buy from you. So let me know if you're interested. Hopefully that's a good introduction to digital PR. So key takeaways, just make it easy for the journalist. A lot of journalists are really quite lazy. So go with local rather than national, because obviously we'd all love to get national news stories, but that's a lot of work. Whereas loads of new local stories, those are local newspapers where they're still in the DR60s, 70s, 80s, so you can still get some really powerful links from local news sites, which have much lower requirements than a big national news website. And then once you've got a few of those, you can do volume, so that will help you a lot. But then you can trade up. That will give you the authority and legitimacy to then pitch bigger publications, saying we've been featured in 10 local newspapers. Would you also be interested in this story? It's one of our campaigns where we got hold of some data, basically did some research, put some data together, gave that to ChatGPT, and prompted ChatGPT, as we do with all our guest posting, as a journalist, as a PR expert, create a story based on this data, whilst also citing our client as a source. So this is all about commercial property in Sussex. Now, if we go to the toolbar, it's only a week or so old, and yet it's already ranking for 5 keywords. That's because Sussex World has got a domain rating of 75. Now, obviously, the whole purpose of the article is all about commercial property. Now, if we have a look at what keywords are actually ranking, then the ranking keywords are all about commercial property in Sussex. So this is fantastic. Not only is it a really good link for our client from a DR75 website, but it actually ranks really well for related terminology, commercially inclined terminology for that niche, for that client. Another one here, we had a client in the home brewing niche. So we basically put together some data on how the rising price of drinking in pubs and bars is going up, and therefore more people are interested in home brewing. So again, just did a PR piece based on that, and that also included a link to the client. And again, that page ranking pretty well. So 3 keywords so far. So far, we haven't actually been optimizing these media pitches, but that's the next step. So can we actually use a correlational tool and submit a really optimized article to these PR sources?